Well, Mineral Garden is a great place though.
Yeah, it is.
But you know.
So yeah, she would have known it then.
He was on.
Oh, okay, yes, yes. He did services
Good.
there.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice weekend here.
She got there in June of 2019.
Okay. Hey, we're gonna get back there.
Are they just working on what function?
Yeah, let me make sure that we're recording and live and we have more for sure. Everyone who's gonna be here is gonna be there. We're live. Okay, we're good to go.
Good morning. Thank you everyone who's joining us here today in the boardroom and on Zoom for the regular Monterey Salinas Transit District Board of Directors meeting of July 10th. Today's meeting is during today's meeting, the public has several options to participate. And that is to join in person here at the conference room, or to join the meeting via Zoom, and the meeting ID is located on the agenda. It's 845-0083-6234, passcode 652252, or to join by a telephone call at 1-669-900-6833. These are the same passcode as Zoom. With that, I will call this meeting to order at 10:01, and I will ask Jeanette if she will call roll. Thank you.
City of Carmel by the Sea. Absent. City of Delray Oaks. Here. City of Gonzales. Absent. City of Greenfield. Here. City of King.
Present.
City of Marina.
Here.
City of Monterey.
Here.
City of Pacific Grove.
Here.
City of Sand City. Here. City of Salinas.
Here.
City of Seaside.
Here.
City of Soledad. Absent. And County of Monterey.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And at this time, I would like to ask Director Melio if you would lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Stand, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I wanted to say that Director Worthy has been excused from the meeting today. If that wasn't mentioned already.
Yeah, I believe all members not here have been excused.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to review of agenda highlights. Carl?
Yes, thank you, Chair. And just as a reminder for our newer board members and our alternate, just to let you know, the mics are always on. They're always hot during the meeting, and there's no need to touch them, turn them on or turn them off. They're placed there. So with that, on the agenda, you really on consent, there is nothing out of the ordinary there, out of the regular business. Moving on to action items, we have an authorization for the CEO to execute agreements necessary to effectuate a land transfer from the city of Seaside, from the former Fort Ord to MST. And then we have the results of the civil grand jury report And we're looking for your board to approve a letter to the grand jury from the chair on those results. You'll see under the general manager some reports regarding hydrogen energy systems coalitions. And there was a question last month about our pension plans funding status. That's in there as well as a report. We do have a closed session item related to a parcel of property at the Marina Transit Exchange to be had as well. But all in all, a fairly light agenda. But with that, I make no predictions on how late the meeting will run.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to public comments on matters not on the agenda. And at this time, any member of the public may address the board on items not appearing on the agenda. Speakers shall have limited time of 3 minutes. Please be brief and to the point. The board will not respond immediately, but may choose to follow up a later time through staff. And as a reminder to make public comments on Zoom, please use the raised hand feature at the bottom of your screen so we can unmute and recognize you. And Jeanette will keep an eye on that, or Carl.
Yep.
Okay, so at this time, public comment is open on matters not on the agenda.
We have one person here.
Hello, my name is Christopher Ian Gonzalez Wilmot, and I would like to put like to ask MST to put a vote to MST line 59X Mari to Gilroy. Because I was looking at like a certain type of like if a line 59 would be able to go to Salinas going to Gilroy, that would actually be a little bit of a mistake, because if you were to do like an express route going from Monterey, going to Sand City, then going to Marina, then to Prunedale Parking Right, then Gilroy via the express route, that would actually work out a lot better. I have the slides right there to prove my case. And also if I compare and contrast versus the line 59 versus line 59X, if that would be a interesting thing of a topic to bring out. So far I have some slides to show and prove my case right there, as I brought to name Jeanette, and also went over to talk to Miss Lisa about it over the phone over a course of like 2 weeks, trying to figure this out by proving a point, saying by it would be actually more beneficial to have a line 59X go to from Monterey to Sand City than to Marina, then Prindle Park and Ride, then to Gilroy, and there and back. Have 3 buses there in the morning, 3 buses then in the evening. Because I know there's plenty of people out there from trying to get from Gilroy to the Monterey Bay area, because so far I was looking at the numbers between being an hour and 2 minutes versus an hour and 55 minutes to get the connections from the Caltrans or the VTA. It would actually take more time for it to be able to get from Monterey going to Salinas than going to Gilroy. Yes, the line 59 would have more frequency, but they would have less connections by the looks of it. And so far, and that's all I have to say, because so far, if you ask me, I said line 59 next swing from Monterey to Gilroy would actually be a lot more beneficial taking the express line. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there any?
Staff is in regular communications with Mr. Wilmot and will continue to be in communications with him. We do have a October 31st planned route from Salinas to Gilroy, the line 59, as funding partnership with the state of California and the Santa Clara VTA, helping to fund that project. It will start on October 31st.
Thank you, folks.
Mhm.
And public comment is still open? Not seeing any hands.
Okay, I have a question to ask you because I don't know where the raise the hand thing is on my computer screen.
Okay, go ahead. If you could tell us your name.
Okay, my name is Jesse Flores. I've been using your system for over 1.5 years. And I just want to know what's being done in regards to customer service mentality. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know how many of you guys have ever used your own bus system and literally have ridden it to see what the experience is like. And I'll be honest with you, I've never dealt with so many, how should I say, it feels like customer service is not a priority with your company because the way your people on the phone treat us. People have forgotten about me and I've had to wait 5 hours out in Upper Ragsdale because they just literally forgot about me. This has happened when I'm in school and they tell me that there's nobody to pick me up, even though I've scheduled a ride. And they basically have the mentality that we'll get to you when we get to you, and that's just the way it is. So I'm just wondering how many of you guys have had personal experiences actually riding your own bus system.
Through the chair, may I ask, Mr. Flores, is this an MST Rides? service?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is MST rides.
All right, we will have some staff reach out to you if possible, who will manage that contract for us. And if we can get your contact information,
We should be able to get from his profile.
okay,
in the system.
we will be reaching out to you to get more details on your experience and look into that.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure because I've lodged complaints and they pretty much feel like they fall on deaf ears. And I'm just wondering if anybody actually cares about how the customer service is not up to par. Because I'll be honest with you, I worked for Nike for 25 years and I was the customer service trainer for the company. So I'm just wondering what's going on in regards to that mindset.
Yeah, without getting into a conversation, I'll just say that staff will reach out and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Okay, I just want to make sure it doesn't fall on deaf ears again.
It is not.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. And is there anyone else for public comment at this time?
I do. I couldn't find the raised hand.
Okay, and your name?
Tate Baugh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I'm gonna make this a little quick. About what I got in the comment from the last board review meeting. I misspoke about the person I know, Lisa Reinheimer. I misspoke. It was not Lisa Reinheimer I knew. It was actually Michelle Overmayer. So I apologize for the confusion I gave you guys. But that's not the only thing I wanted to say. I also want to add, I know I've mentioned to you before about asking for line 34 to also operate on weekends regarding the Monterey County Agriculture and Rural Life Museum in King City, but this conversation I'm going to talk to you about is a little different, so I'll make this quick. I know that you have not had a chance to replace the MST on-call bus routes in Gonzales, Soledad, or Greenfield by replacing them with circular bus routes like the one in King City. But I just want to give you a heads up that I discovered a museum in Soledad called Mission Soledad, which is open on the same days that the museum in King City is open. So I'm asking if the MST bus routes for on-call get replaced by the circular bus routes, I would be happy if whatever bus route number it is, not only operates on both weekdays and weekends, but also provides passenger service to that Mission Soledad Museum. And if you have any questions, then I would be happy for one of you to reach out to me so I can explain it more to you as proof so you can understand where it's located at if you don't know what I mean. That's all I have.
We have regular contacts with Mr. Baugh and we'll continue to work with him and receive his comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And anyone else? Public comment? Okay, not hearing anyone, anyone in the chambers, in the conference room for public comment. None? Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and close public comment. And we will thank you for your comments. And we will now move on to item 3. This is the consent calendar. And we're looking at items 3.1 through 3.5. Do any of the directors wish to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion or comment? No? Okay, with that, do any members of the public wish to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion or comment?
Who could sing?
Okay,
Second.
okay, we have a motion in a second. Roll call, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Unanimous. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 4. Item 4, this is recognitions and special presentations. For one employee of the month of July, Manny Villarreal Garcia. And is Manny here?
Is Manny here?
Manny is actually on site working with our vendor on the very thing he's getting his award for today.
Manny is
Wow. Manny's working hard.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a big project. So my name is Michael Coleman. I am the Chief Information Officer for MST. Hello, everybody this morning. And today I do have the honor of recognizing Manny Garcia as MST's July Employee of the Month. Manny is one of our key technicians in our Intelligent Transportation Systems team, which we refer to here internally and in the industry as an ITS team. For those that are unfamiliar with the term, our ITS systems provide much of the critical vehicle data flow that allows MST to smoothly serve our community on a daily basis. So if you were to look at our buses today, they basically operate as mobile servers. They automatically gather information such as real-time location, passenger counts, security status, communications, and most recently, our contactless payment transaction system. I believe it would be fair to say that without that flow of information, operating at the level of service that MST does would be difficult, if not impossible. So today we're specifically honoring Manny for his work with the contactless payment system. As you know, MST has been a pioneer in this implementation of the system, and a number of the innovations in the physical deployment and configuration of these readers on our buses come from Manny and the team. And a most recent example of his dedication and innovation was the design of a time delay power system for the contactless payment devices that are actually being installed this morning. During the testing phase of those devices, one of the feedbacks that was provided in the field was that it was actually taking time for the readers to power up whenever a driver had to stop the bus, shut it down, take a break. That was creating a time period where passengers were having to wait, drivers were having to wait for the device while it came back up before we could take payments. So Manny, working with the rest of the ITS team, developed a system that basically creates a continued power for that system for a minute or two, or however much time we need to keep it running. So when somebody gets back on the bus and powers the bus back up, that system is ready to go and operate. This was done with commercial off-the-shelf parts, which are things that we can easily obtain from vendors such as Amazon, that made this device very inexpensive, very easy to repair. It improves our return to time operations. It improves our service with our customers, and it actually reduces emissions on our buses because drivers now no longer have to power those buses up early to wait for that device to go. Because of that, I actually saw that it reflects our MST mission of connecting our communities, creating opportunity, and being kind to our planet. As I mentioned, our vendor is actually on site today doing final upgrade on these devices, so he's in the field, so he isn't present. But please do join me in congratulating him and the entire ITS team on their efforts in this.
Thank you. And so Manny, he began his career with MST in
2016.
as an electronic technician, and he was promoted in 2017
Mhm.
To his current position. So we here at the board would like to congratulate Manny on his being instrumental in improving the MST system to serve drivers and riders. And I would like to, as sitting in as vice chair of the board, this meeting, to thank Manny, you and the whole staff for their hard work and dedication. So if we could relate that to Manny.
Thank you. And I definitely will.
Okay. Well,
Round of applause.
yes. Okay, we will go ahead and move on to the next item. There is no public hearing. So we will go to action items. We have two of them. First one is 6.1, and this is to authorize the general manager to execute any and all agreements for Seaside as the real property transfer from Seaside to MST on the northeast corner of Giggling F8 in front of Corridor. And this will be Lisa giving the presentation. Thank you,
Through the
Lisa.
vice chair, I would suggested that I recuse myself by our city attorney or MST attorney. So I'm gonna go away and while you make good decisions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Lisa Reinheimer, Assistant General Manager for MST. And this morning I'm presenting to you, like the Vice Chair said, an authorization to transfer some property essentially from the Army to MST. And I will say this has been a long time coming. In 1997, 26 years ago, MST requested properties, a number of them, in the Fort Ord area as the base closure was happening. All but two of the properties that we had requested have come to MST. We have title to them, but these last two parcels totaling 27 acres have not yet come to MST. So that's, red tape at its best. So the properties are located on the northeast corner of 8th and Giggling in the former Fort Ord. Currently it has oak trees and plants and animals on the property. There are no structures. There is a bicycle trail that parallels Giggling out towards the Fort Ord National Monument. And it is located within the county of Monterey's boundary, barely. It abuts the city of Seaside. So with that, the underlying land use jurisdiction is the county, and obviously we'd have to, with any kind of potential development there, comply with the county's general plan, which I've included some of those designations. It's considered public, quasi-public, DS, which is design control and site review. And the properties surrounding us are under that same category. So the Army also has its own restrictions that will come to the properties. It was originally thought that it would be a public benefit conveyance, but a year or so after the initial request of the Army, MST requested an economic development conveyance, which will come with its own set of rules and regulations. So with the closing of the Fort Ord Reuse Authority, who was doing this type of transfer before, the city of Seaside then became the successor in interest to the activities of FORA. So they're the ones who would facilitate the transfer of the property to MST. And along with the board's 2-year action plan, we have an item to review properties, and some of those properties could potentially be whatever we decide we want them to be, given the land use jurisdiction and what have you. But we do have a plan to review those properties and see what their best use would be given the constraints. So we would, after the property gets transferred to MST, we would review, as all of our properties, we would review what would be best for the agency. So with that, I'll stop there and answer any questions if you have them to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Lisa. So at this time, directors, do you have any questions to Lisa?
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
It says the U.S. Army is going to take some time to transfer. Is it the DLI or is it Fort Ord base?
Yeah, it's Fort Ord base. It's through their BRAC office. It used to be Bill Higgins, but I think it's transferred into somebody else because I believe he's potentially retired at this point. So yeah, it's out there in Fort Ord.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so at this time, it looks like the property will be added to MST's inventory and, will be insured. And, so for that, I don't think I think it's.
Yeah.
It's, I want to call it a no-brainer, but I'll call it, go ahead. Okay, so if there's no other comments, let's go ahead.
And
Okay.
just a question for Carl, how long will it take to then finish this process now that Seaside, we've been in, it seems to have been in this process for many years. So now that Seaside or successor agencies taking over the transfer, how long do we expect this to be finalized and title to be in MST hands?
Very good question. I asked the same thing of our partners in Seaside and they couldn't give me a definitive answer. They said this takes time.
Several more years.
It's been 26 years, so.
You'd probably be
Got it.
all off the county board of directors by the time.
I don't know.
We've had several iterations of this board in the last 29 years. All this has
Yeah.
been going on. So.
But I think the key thing is that Carl's with this action is gonna be designated by this board to move forward.
Right.
So Carl can't leave till this is done.
Oh, my goodness.
Are we supposed to do a recommendation on this or just?
No, this is, we need a motion and second and
Yeah.
vote to authorize me to sign documents.
But before that, we need public.
Yes, we will go to public comment next, so if there's no other comments at this time from the board. And, so we will go ahead and open it up for public comment. And, Jeanette, do you see
I
any
don't
raised
see
hands?
any on Zoom.
Okay, and, any public comment here in the chamber? Not seeing anyone. I'm up the mic, so we'll go ahead and close public comment. And we will, bring this back. There is a recommendation on page 31 to authorize the general manager Pearl to execute any and all agreements with Seaside as the port authority environmental services cooperative agreement and local redevelopment authority successor and interest accepting parcel L23 and parcel L24-1 at the northeast corner of Euclid and 8th Avenue located in the form of corridor. Monterey County. Looking for a motion. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mark, all in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to, thank you.
Going.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay, moving on to the next item, agenda item 6.2 on page 35, and this is the Monterey County Grand Jury's report.
Thank you, Chair. The Monterey County Grand Jury selected MST to review in their 22-23 service years. And all in all, there's nothing concerning within the report. If you read the report, it says, and it's difficult for me is humble as we are here, but it says that MST fulfills its mandates for the transportation needs of the county and quote, in the most cost-effective, safe, innovative, and environmentally safe manner possible, end quote. And the quote, it also applauds the innovative, data-driven decisions of Monterey Salinas Transit's experienced administrative leadership, end quote. So I think that's certainly reflects well on the entire MXT team and its folks and the people who carry out your mission. One of the requirements of the civil grand jury is that we are required to provide a report within 90 days responding to their report, which we have provided to you starting on page 53 of your agenda, where basically it says we agree with most everything you say about us. And there are, some recommendations regarding the formal channels and how MST communicates and we just, I guess, remind the grand jury that we're doing through our social media outlets and through advertising on board our buses and through many various means of outreach to the community. There is no lack of outreach from MST's part to get the word out on how to get the information to you. You saw an example of even that today with folks coming to our board meeting and making comment as well, which we respond to. So we just would like your board to sign off on this letter. We have until September. If the board has serious issues with the content of this letter, we can bring it back and rework it. If not, I'd appreciate us moving forward and we can get this letter off and put this one to bed.
Okay. Thank you, Carl. With that, board comments?
Yeah, I want to, Carl did an amazing job working with the grand jury, and it really reflects what the MST family here is all about. And I very much appreciate all that work. I don't know how it could be used, whether with the American Public Transit Agency or with CTA, as an acknowledgement, because it really shows what public transit is, what we're doing. And just because you see an empty bus sometimes doesn't mean that's all that they do. In the letter, where I know we're addressing the findings, the one thing I found truly gratifying within the grand jury report was the acknowledgement how public transit, especially MST, is there during times of crisis, times of declarations of emergency, and that they're moving people out into safety. If there was a way to acknowledge that within the letter as a, either appreciate the acknowledgement from the grand jury recognizing that, I'd love to see that added. But just, I know I've said it many, many times, that component of public transit agency alone, in my opinion, is worth every dollar spent. The service after that, to me, is just gravy. It's an ancillary benefit, because every time you move someone to safety and save that life, save that family, that is worth millions of dollars, even by an insurance insurance, how they calculate the benefit for a human life. And that's never reflected in the national conversation of what public transit is. We do move people from here to there, but it is those emergencies where we've experienced, the county has dealt with so many just recently, and MST have been there time after time, moving people into safe areas along with their pets. So those are members of the family as well to these people. So if we could acknowledge that appreciation, I really would like to see that, because that is a big thing to me.
I think it would be easy for us to add that. I would just ask if it's okay with the board, I can commit to adding that to the letter and having Mayor Velasquez sign off on it without bringing it back to the board for their approval.
Absolutely.
Okay, we can do that.
Just one question, good letter back to the judge, I appreciate that. Is attachment 1 also going with her letter? So you've presented for the board, take the bus, ridership in the MST fleet, attachment 1. Is that also going with the letter to Judge Butler?
No, that came from the grand jury, so
attachment 1 is the grand jury's report.
correct.
Okay.
That is the grand jury's report to us, and then their recommendations. The letter is a response, the recommendations within that report.
So I'm sure that they got a lot of that material from us when they did their findings and their requests for information.
Absolutely. It all
Yes.
came from myself and a few key staff members spent hours with them.
Yeah. So there's nothing else that we need to send back to Judge Butler other than the letter and our agreement of what we're doing with their findings.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
I think I have what I need. Was there a vote on this?
Not yet, we're gonna open it
okay.
up to public comment. Public comment is open. Not seeing anyone, and public comment is still open. Not seeing anyone here. stepping up. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. And so before you, there is a staff recommendation that is to approve the letter to Honorable Pamela L. Pepper, presiding judge of Monterey County Superior Court in response to the Monterey County Civil Grand Jury report of Monterey Salinas Transit. There was a recommendation that we add to the letter, and that will Carl will bring that back to the chair, Anna Velasquez, to review before that letter goes out.
Correct.
And with that, I would like to call for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those. Okay, motion carries. So Carl, thank you and directors for your, all your comments. I was really impressed as well to see that the civil grand jury did get on the buses and wrote
They did.
as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we'll move on to the next item, and this is agenda item 7, reports and informational items. Let's see what we have. Okay, so general manager, CEO monthly report, page 57.
We have our operating statistics. We reviewed that in committee. Basically, ridership is up. We're 11 months through the fiscal year. And since the Better Bus Network went into effect in December, we've averaged 22% growth month over month. And from the previous year, compared to prior to the Better Bus Network, we were averaging 11% growth. So the Better Bus Network could be said to have almost doubled our ridership. And then we were able to show you that with 11 months in, revenues are exceeding budget, expenses are lower than budget. So we're well positioned to end the fiscal year that just ended June 30th with a slight surplus that we can use to help fund future capital projects. There's zero emission bus projects as well. So that's what we reviewed in committee.
Okay, with that, any comments from the board? Or questions? Carl, I did notice that there were some service cancellations. I think it's on page 70. And I don't know if you have anything wanted to add anything to that.
I don't believe there was anything necessarily out of the ordinary. It does happen. We are having a little higher rate of service cancellations, perhaps with our MV fleet and operations, but those are, a lot of that is due to hiring. Norm, anything that you care to share?
Yeah, most of it is related to finding workforce available to hire and operate our coaches for us. So we're working diligently. Kevin Allshouse is our contract manager for the MV contract, and we meet with them weekly to discuss their goals. What they're doing to bolster the number of coach operators that they're hiring. But at the moment, it's causing some issues with us maintaining our levels of service. We're still at a very, very high level of service that we're maintaining, but we are missing some trips here and there. Some of the trips that we're able to make up, we're using our own staff to do that. And then we're also working with MV to push some of their trips over to the local taxi cab providers so that they can use those operators to perform those trips. So we believe that we'll see some improvement shortly, and hopefully that trend in hiring continues and we'll be able to fulfill our daily commitments. So, yeah.
Okay, and Normal, you're still there. We also noticed documented occurrences. We had 27 with some passenger falls and fatal collisions.
Yeah, the collisions, I can speak briefly to that. I don't have the full detail on what those are. But the collisions could be non-preventable or preventable. So non-preventable things that are outside of your control, preventable things that you can control. And I don't have the full details on those yet, but those are things that happen on a day-to-day basis, especially with traffic and, a lot of foot traffic, a lot of traffic in the area, things like that. So just an influx of traffic. We've got some new operators that are out there. And so working with Kelly's team to ensure that we're being as safe as possible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Norm.
Kelly Halkin, Director of Human Resources and Risk. My department actually investigates the accidents. Norm just kind of tosses them our way. No, I'm just kidding. But we've had tail swings. So we do have, where Norm is correct, that there's construction that's going on there in all of your cities, including the highways. And so what we're seeing is that when some of these things are being reconstructed, maybe poles have moved, things have moved. And so we are having the preventable accidents are mirror dings, tail swings of hitting, poles or whatnot. We do have, I think there was at least one parked car hit in there. And so that we have, usually the parked car hits happen along Lighthouse and Foam. So that's where they primarily happen. So that's kind of, what we do is we do retraining with the operators, and in VTT, this is always a hot topic that we talk about is clearance issues and, just being diligent out there. So that's pretty much what's you are seeing as the preventable accidents. And I think you had a secondary question outside of the accidents too.
Let's see, on passenger calls, I think.
Yes. Passenger falls are what we have out in the system. Is we do have people who are inebriated, either through alcohol or drugs, whether that's legal or illegal drug use. And so they sometimes fall off the bus, or they trip on the stairs going into the bus. So particularly some of the passenger falls are people tripping into the bus with bags because they're holding all these bags and trying to get on the bus. So those are what you primarily see.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, and the last thing I was gonna ask was if we could can I get an update on the summer youth pass distribute the passes? How many we got this year?
I don't have that information handy, and I'm not sure if staff has anything off the top of their heads. Let's see. We're seeing it's the sausage made right here.
I've been whispered the answer, 17 so far. We publish it, we let people know in our community, put it out on Facebook, you make it available, and we'd love to see more people. It's $38 for 3 months, and the youth can go around and cause all sorts of havoc in our communities, but you can't make them buy it. So it's available. We promote it. I don't know if there's anything more we can do, but there have been 17 sold this year.
Okay, maybe if you could forward something to each jurisdiction, and maybe we could put it on our website or something and help. So
Sure.
just put it out there.
Yeah.
That kind of
It's
hand in hand.
It's still a deal at, a month and a half worth of, it says June, July, and August. So it's still a deal with only a month and a half left of the summer youth. So yeah, we'll send it out.
Question? I don't know if there's best for, let's say if a jurisdiction wanted to buy 10 and then hand them out either like through raffles or some of their own little outreach, that's totally allowable.
I don't see why not.
Yeah. Okay, so we come into next year, maybe
It's a great idea.
Before we have a conversation and we see if our jurisdictions can maybe purchase some of these up and use them for our summer events.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Mike.
It's $380.
38. Oh yeah, 380. Yeah. It's like, where did you get 380? Oh yeah. Okay, I got it.
Question, yes. it might be too complicated, but would it be possible to lower the price for the remainder of the summer? I know it's already a good deal, but for some people, $38 is still a lot of money.
So we have a transit fare policy that your board sets. And it seems like it would probably be a good idea to bring it back to the board for next year, maybe not this year, and see if there's a prorated for, 1 month versus 2 months versus 3 months. If that's something that you're interested in,
I would like to see that. It might help to sell more.
maybe
Yes, maybe, yes.
make it easy, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, and if
We
there's,
have a question.
okay,
I have one more question. I was wondering on the mechanical failures and like the staff shortages, did those affect like primarily one area more than another? Or it was just across the board?
Yeah, it's across the board. We, our drivers can work any route in specific. Norm, do you have an idea where the?
Call it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's across the board.
Yeah.
So there's no, we don't, it just happens, basically, right? And so we move to fill the gap as quickly as possible. Where that happens is kind of unpredictable, so.
Yeah, I was just wondering like if a staff shortage was specific, to one driver that or one area, there was more of a shortage for.
And to speak to that, what we're talking about in scope, if you go to the GM report, we have a statistic that shows let's see, canceled trips, and I'm trying to furiously find it, but we run at like 90, percentage of service delivered. We're at 99.91% of service delivered. So we're talking, less than 1% of our less than 1/10 of 1%. I'm sorry, is what we're talking about as far as scope of missed service here. So it is a pretty small number. We'd love to not miss anything. And we're virtually aren't, but we're 0.09% of our service we missed. And that's still pretty good. Not perfect. Kelly, did you have something to add?
I was just gonna, if there was more questions
Oh.
about staff storage or numbers and how that kind of works, because what we do is we backfill. When we're hiring, we're backfilling for the extra board. And extra board is what fills in for when you have an operator that's on a leave of absence or calls in sick. So any given day, we have 23% of our driver labor is out. So, and that's for long-term absences and those sudden occurrence absences of calling in sick. And so we backfill with extra board, they have hold downs, and we also have standbys. So every given day, there is a number of standbys that are scheduled so that if you have to fill in on a short notice, because maybe somebody shows up late to work, like a miss out, late arrival, somebody can fill in, and we have people on standby just for that. So that's why you see such a low number of actual missed trips, if that helps.
Thank you. Shall we open this up to public comment?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open this up to public comment. Public comment is open. I am not seeing any. We'll go ahead, close public comment, and that was, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, 7.2, and this is the, down on page 95, it's the federal legislative advocacy report. Or do we want to go into these, or they're in your packet?
They're in the packet. I think, we could probably take them as a whole. And you have a number of staff trip reports in there as well. This is all considered one general manager's report. I think if you have any questions on any of the reports, be happy to answer them.
Just quickly, in case I missed it, regarding fare box recovery, there was an extension for that.
Correct.
Okay, and that was 2 years.
Michelle, is she still here? What was the extension of the fare box, the suspension of fare box recovery?
Question, I think it was set to expire this fiscal year, but it has been extended with the budget package that is almost finalized in Sacramento.
And then I would assume that CTA is going to continue advocating for it to be removed or? Yeah, the position is, and what we hope to, and what we're in negotiations with staff, Sumley Transportation staff and other staff, is to suspend the penalties associated with not meeting your fare box recovery. So we'll still set the goal. And if we don't meet the goal, there will be no financial penalty as a result of that. But we may have to report as far as why we're not meeting the goal. But there's just it seems to be an archaic mechanism that was established in the 70s and no longer really meets the current goals of what policymakers want to achieve with public transportation to force a certain amount of return from passenger fares. And if you don't get that return from passenger fares, they cut your funding, which forces you to raise fares, which lowers ridership, which it was a downwards, it was becoming a downwards spiral that I think we finally raised to the appropriate attention that will look like we'll get legislative relief from that permanently is what we hope for in this next bill. Thank you.
With that, we will go ahead and move on to board reports, comments and referrals. 8.1 reports on meeting attended by board members at MST 6 I don't know.
We did have the chair attended the California Transit Association conference, but I'm sure she'll have a report with her next time.
Okay, and 8.2 board member comments and announcements. Not seeing,
board, but Anna was supposed to announce that at your dais is the general manager's performance evaluation. So that's what you see in that envelope. The electronic copies of that will be going out by email as soon as this meeting is over, if they haven't already done so. So she was supposed to announce that.
okay, thank you. I did see that, but I didn't know quite what that was about.
Okay, well, there you have it. If there's any questions, you can
Thank
ask
you.
Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, 8.2 -1, the Active Transit Transform Conference and Expo will be held October 8th through 11th. And there is an early registration deadline of August 25th. If anyone is interested in that, if you could please see Jeanette and let her know. Okay. And then 8.2 MST's 50th anniversary of transit service is Friday, September 1st. You want to?
Yeah, so last year I feel like we're a professional baseball league where we're every year is an anniversary of some sort. But last year we celebrated 50 years of the formation of MST. That was when actually the predecessor agency, the Monterey Peninsula Transit parties agreed to form a transit agency, Joint Powers Authority. In September will be the 50th anniversary of the first bus actually rolling out and picking up people in the region. So we're planning on a number of events. We wanted to let your board know so that we'll be doing some an event at, I think they are for our public officials at our Monterey facility. And then we've discussed having some customer focused giveaways that morning at the Monterey Transit Plaza and at the Salinas Transit Center. So that was the initial kind of hub of activities there. So we'll let you all know in case you want to participate, and we'll have some giveaways and treats and things like that, both for our customers and then a more formal event at our Monterey facility here at One Ryan Ranch on that date. It's on a Friday, so it all works out pretty well as far as that goes. So we're looking forward to celebrating another anniversary.
So great. So if everyone, if you're able to mark your calendars and you'll hear more.
You will hear more.
That's great. And with that, we'll move on to attachments. We have a detailed monthly performance statistic and disbursement drawing journal for May of 2023 that can be viewed within the GM's report. So that's just info. Okay. With that, we have a closed session item and Dan. So any members of the public may address the board of directors on items related to closed session. Speakers have 3 minutes. Please be brief and to the point. The board will not respond immediately, but I choose to follow up with it later time individually or through staff. And as a reminder to make public comments on Zoom, please use the raise hand motion feature at the bottom of your screen so we can unmute and recognize you. If you do not have that, please go ahead and just speak out. As we heard earlier, a couple of folks didn't have that. So today we have one item under closed session, and this is a conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, number of cases, one Parties Pacific Rim Company LLC. And with that, I will open it up for public comment at that time before we adjourn into closed session. So public comment is open.
I don't believe we have any public comment.
All right, with that, we'll close public comment and we will excuse the public and we will adjourn to closed session and we will return and report out with legal counsel any actions taken.
Closed session.
Yes.
Yes.
Go on.
Yeah.
Try to save your.
That's right. That's all we did.
Hey, Carl, what's the bathroom code?
Good job, Michael. When I brought it, when we brought it up on Friday, he was. Yeah. Now they've got some stuff. Go meeting.
Okay. It looks like
Cool.
we are at,
Report up.
re-adjourned and, legal counsel, if you could report out, any
Yes,
action?
thank you, Madam Chair. The board did meet in closed session for one item under Government Code Section 5495.6.9 B2. In that, we discussed the facts and circumstances of one anticipated litigation regarding Pacific Rim Companies LLC. That involves the property of 280 Reservation Road in Galena. There was a general description and discussion of the facts and circumstances, but there is no reportable action at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. There's no further items of business. This meeting is adjourned at 11:14. And there is no meeting in August. It's been canceled, so.
It's historically been our, that's our
Okay.
summer break. our
So
August
we'll
meeting.
be on summer break.
Summer break.
Ooh.
That's right.
Place to take a vacation.
You're in America's vacation home.
I tell you, riveting. Now, I'm again this week, I'm going to El Dorado.
I'm gonna tell Tony, hey,
El Dorado.
Right, so that